Morning, guys. I'm up early this morning. How are we? You cannot beat that first coffee in the morning. So, I am doing a series of videos that are not live so that we can sort of concentrate on the topic. Of course, I still do lives every day. We defend Elvis Presley every day, and we also jump over to Elvis Presley fan on keto, and we discuss light-hearted Elvis topics, and we discuss the carnivore diet and the keto diet and how I got myself healthy again. So two different channels, one for defending Elvis Presley, defending Lisa, defending the bloodline, the other one just for a bit of fun that also helps our health. Okay. Now, one of the most common things that are asked is, why do you defend Elvis Presley? Why do you defend Elvis? It's like, I always like to think that if you watch the live streams that we do nearly every day that go back 11 months now, I think, it's very obvious why we defend Elvis. I'll give you an example. An old example is we've heard about this book, Elvis, What Happened? Yeah. Written by Sonny West, Red West, Dave Hebler. Believe it or not, there's many things in this book are completely fine. But then you have the very negative things in this book that just basically call Elvis a strung out druggie with a bad temper that was constantly unfaithful. Yeah? So there's one of my reasons why we defend Elvis, because I feel that Elvis has been very unfairly treated by many of the people that were very close to him. Of course, Priscilla Presley, of course, certain members of the Memphis Mafia, Colonel Tom Parker, even sometimes Dr. Nick made serious mistakes. So there's one of my reasons. Let me get the other book. So there's quite a few books, but I could literally bring them all up, and every one of them I'll find something that I think is unfair to Elvis. So we have this book, Elvis and Me, written by Priscilla around 1985. I personally think many of the things in this book are degrading and embarrassing and very unfair to Elvis. I also think that many of the things in this book have been twisted, are not true, are lies. Now, Priscilla found herself in a very strong position. It's a complicated story, but eventually she's there promoting opening Gracelands as the museum, the living museum, so the fans can pay their respects, see how Elvis lived. Now, the story that leads up to the point where Priscilla is basically the queen of Memphis, isn't she? The queen of Graceland, yeah? You think about it, in 1985, the public had been spoon-fed lies by this book. But the public fell for it. They fell for everything in this book. They believed everything in this book. Now, you have to turn back the clock. Do the public know that Priscilla, months after Lisa Marie was born, had been unfaithful with Steve Peck, the dance instructor? So she clearly admits it in this book. Page 262. She calls him Mark. She goes into detail how Elvis, he's making his movies. This is just before the comeback special, the 68 comeback special. How she had got strong feelings for the dance instructor months after the baby, poor Lisa Marie, was born. We love Lisa Marie, we miss her. How many of the public actually, now in 2025, how many of the public actually know that Priscilla was unfaithful 11 months, 12 months after the marriage, this very public marriage that went around the world, on every single news clip in the world, every magazine, every tabloid? How many of the public now remember that that happened? And it happened in 1968. I would say almost no one. Most people you speak to, the average person on the street, oh, I didn't know that. I thought Elvis was unfaithful when he was taking drugs. Everything has been blamed on Elvis. Now, I think Priscilla, she had given some interviews leading up to the release of this book, initially saying that she wouldn't write a book. Now, I don't hate Priscilla. I think Priscilla has made some serious mistakes. This isn't a hate video. I'm trying to expose the wrongdoing to Elvis. I feel Elvis needs defending because he can't defend himself. We defend Elvis as fans. We do it. Fans around the world. Different YouTube channels. There's a few YouTube channels defending Elvis. Not many. I can think of 4 that defend Elvis. But my point is this. Why has the public fallen for all of this? Why have the interviewers around the world been interviewing Priscilla Presley, asking questions that are in this book? And they've been asking these questions as if everything in this book is truth. Why haven't the news companies, the interviewers around the world for the last 40 odd years questioned this book? Why haven't they gone, hang on a minute, is it true? Is what you're saying truth? Why has Priscilla been treated as if she was his widow when Elvis died? Remember, Priscilla divorced Elvis in 1972. It was officially divorced in 73. And Elvis moved on with his life. He was seeing Linda Thompson, eventually Ginger Alden, and other people. He got on with his life. So why is a woman or a man, you know, I'm not being sexist here. I don't care, woman, man, I'm not like that. I do believe in complete equal rights. So when I say it is a woman, I mean, why is Priscilla allowed to literally say whatever she wants and everyone believes it? She can sit in any interview. It doesn't matter what decade it is. It could be in the late 70s or 80s or now, 2024, 25. Yeah? And she can literally say what she wants and no one's going to blink an eyelid. They believe her. They believe everything. And this has been going on for 40 odd years. Elvis can't affect it. He can't change it. When this book was written in 1985, Priscilla had already given many, many interviews hinting Elvis's wrongdoing. She gives the impression that they were together from age 14 till the day they divorced. 14 years together. It's so not true. Very untrue. Elvis briefly met Priscilla in 1959. A brief friendship. It was not a love affair. Now, I do think that Priscilla likes to give us the impression there was sex, there was a love affair. But then on the next breath, she will clearly say, oh, we never had sex. There are sections in this book where she will say, oh, Elvis wouldn't have sex with me. I was too young. He wanted to do the right thing, do things the right way. So she contradicts herself. Now, we actually don't know any of the explicit details that she puts in this book about Elvis. We actually don't know if they're true. Yeah. She wrote that book. Priscilla Presley wrote that book herself. She could put in that book whatever she wanted. No one was going to disagree with her. She was in control on behalf of Lisa, of Gracelands. She was the boss. Everyone had to listen. Everyone had to do as they were told. All the money making opportunities with Elvis and Gracelands and eventually Elvis Presley Enterprises went through Priscilla. She was the boss. Nobody was going to upset Priscilla. Everyone. Jerry Schilling, Joe Esposito, Charlie Brown, everyone. Charlie Hodge, sorry. Charlie Brown. Sorry. Charlie Hodge. Everyone was going to go through Priscilla to get permission to make money. on documentaries, on biographies, on writing books, on interviews, all of it. Priscilla was the boss. She was treated as if she saved Graceland, even though the story is very complex. Memphis City were never going to break up or sell off Graceland. Memphis City were there with Morgan Maxfield. Look him up. He died in a plane crash. Morgan Maxfield with his assistant Jack Sodden. And it's rumoured that Priscilla actually at one point was engaged to Morgan Maxfield. He had a horrific plane crash, unfortunate, which is very sad. But my point is, all the plans were being made to make sure that Graceland was preserved as a living museum for Elvis before Priscilla came along. Eventually Vernon Presley dies, and Priscilla comes along. Vernon makes the decision to allow Priscilla to be the co-executor on behalf of Lisa, and it's already been sorted in the wills. Yeah, Elvis did not want Priscilla in the will. Elvis and Vernon felt that Priscilla had had enough. It's a long story, it's complicated, but Priscilla had 2 divorce settlements. The second one was very cruel, very bitter, very greedy. She wasn't really entitled to it. She had to accuse Elvis of lying, fraud, and hiding his assets so that she could be allowed to reapply and get even more money. But this time she really went for a lot of money. Like, she almost bankrupted Elvis. These are all my opinions for entertainment purposes. A debt was placed on Graceland's so that Elvis could pay Priscilla, because Elvis could not afford to pay Priscilla because she wanted too much money. She wanted massive spousal payments, maternity, maintenance, call it what you want, payments. She also wanted a percentage of Elvis's royalties and much, much more. A massive amount of money that Elvis couldn't afford. So a debt was placed on Graceland's, the building, Elvis's home that he bought for Gladys. And this debt, this lien, this deed of trust was to guarantee that Priscilla got her money. Very cruel. Elvis felt like he was going to lose his home. And this was still going on the year of his death. Don't forget, in the year of his death, this book was released 2 weeks before he died by his bodyguards, 2 of Red West, Sonny West, that were very, very close friends of his. And they never said sorry. Now, Dave Hebler, he's still around now. There's some interviews with him recently. He's suffered, guys. He's had 50 years of hate, more or less. 47 plus years of hate. I don't wish that on anyone. But the fans are so loyal. The fans have never let up. They've always been very upset and angry with the release of this book weeks before Elvis died. This book was made for money, for revenge, by 3 angry men that were very bitter. And I'm sorry to say this, Dave Hebler, because Dave is still alive. Greedy men. This was a mistake. This was a betrayal of friends. It should never have happened. You don't write a book about your friends. So this is another reason why we defend Elvis. Now, Elvis has been called a druggie. For the last, you think about it, guys, since that book came out, this was really the book that opened the door for calling Elvis a druggie, blaming the unfaithfulness of Elvis all on Elvis, even though Priscilla was unfaithful many times. Steve Peck is the well-known one, the dance instructor, just after Lisa Marie was born, and the other one is Mike Stone, the karate champion. I personally think Mike Stone was used. He was took advantage of. Yes, he was a karate champion. Priscilla was extremely beautiful and basically seduced Mike Stone. Now, he made a massive mistake. Mike Stone, the karate champion, a big karate champion, throughout the karate world, very well known, winning many, many, many awards, tournaments, etc. He was married. his wife was pregnant, Frances Stone. He had a small girl as well. He had a family. Now, how many people could have made Mike Stone leave his wife and his pregnant wife, remember, pregnant wife and small girl, literally break up his life? I don't think if it had been any other woman, and Mike Stone, if you watch my shows, this is how I feel about your behaviour with Priscilla that affected Lisa Marie so badly, affected your wife Frances so badly, and your unborn baby and your small girl. I actually think if it had been any other woman, I actually think you wouldn't have done it. This is just my opinion. I'm just a fan. I don't think Mike Stone would have left his pregnant wife and child for any woman. Mike was an honourable man, Mike Stone, but it was Priscilla Presley, the most famous woman in the world at the time, a very, very wealthy woman. Elvis had made her very wealthy. Stunningly beautiful, a very sexy woman, a very charming woman, a very smart woman, very cunning. She could plan things out. When she wanted something, she got it. She set her sights on Mike Stone. He was the target. She needed a way away from Elvis. In her mind, she felt that she had given up her life, that she had lost herself. I think she wanted her freedom so she could have different boyfriends, make much more money, be famous in her own right, be Elvis Presley. Priscilla wanted everything that Elvis had, even though she had no talent. She wanted it all. And as she got older, she wanted more and more. And I personally think Priscilla had been very greedy, very brutal and cunning, and very unfair to Elvis. And Mike Stone was her target, and she seduced him. She went for him. She chatted him up. She went out of her way to have karate lessons with him. She was going to get that man, and he was going to be the way out, away from Elvis. So they had a secret affair for a year, around 1971. A secret affair behind Elvis's back. Remember, Priscilla has already done this with Steve Peck, the dance instructor. It's on page 262 of this book. She calls him Mark. She admits her affair just after Lisa Marie was born. Now, could you imagine having an affair just after Lisa Marie was born? How wrong that is. The baby was still in its nappies and Priscilla is having an affair. This is serious. I call it disgusting. Yeah? So, just on the Mike Stone thing, I actually don't think Mike Stone would have done it if it had been any other person. But the most famous, most beautiful woman on the planet, who was also married to Elvis Presley, Mike Stone, quite an insecure man about his looks, was not wealthy, couldn't believe that she had turned her affections to him, couldn't believe that she had chosen him. And he fell for it. He fell for it, guys. And my point is, I do think Mike Stone was seduced and taken advantage of. And once Priscilla had had her use of Mike Stone, she dropped him like a rock. This is my opinion. I just feel sorry that Mike Stone was so badly treated. But I also think he is responsible for his own actions, his decisions. Because the person that was most damaged by the Mike Stone-Priscilla affair was poor Lisa Marie. Just a child. Just a small child. How old was she? 3, 4? She was taken away from her father who adored her, Elvis, from the home she loved, to live with a complete stranger in an apartment that eventually Elvis paid to have it decorated. Poor Lisa Marie, just a child, not really understanding what was happening, but she knew she loved her father, being forced to live with a complete stranger that Priscilla fancied. The bottom line is, Priscilla fancied Mike Stone. She wanted to get with him, no matter what, no matter how it affected Elvis, Lisa. Now remember, Priscilla had already been caught being unfaithful. This was the second time that we know of. There could be other times we don't know. So you imagine the life for Lisa Marie, poor Lisa Marie Presley. Now she has hinted in this book, this beautiful book, she wrote with her own words on tape, and she asked Riley to finish it. So we know this book is truth because it's come from Lisa Marie Presley. This book is truth. It exposes so much wrongdoing. And we know that when she left her father, she was dragged away from her father. It did some very serious damage to her. Very serious damage. Yeah. So the biggest victim in all of this mess is Lisa Marie. Lisa Marie Presley. Elvis as well, but Lisa Marie. And we know the life Lisa led. Very complicated. We also know that eventually Priscilla moves on, and eventually she gets to Michael Edwards. And it's in this book that there is alleged sexual abuse from Michael Edwards when she was between the ages of 10 and 16. Michael Edwards was Priscilla's boyfriend, lover, an actor, a model, a man with a raging temper that had allegedly illegal intentions with Lisa Marie. Now we believe Lisa, we believe the allegations, but we have to say that it is allegations, and we say it as opinions for entertainment purposes on this show. But we believe it. We do want justice for Lisa Marie. We want Michael Edwards arrested and questioned, even though it happened all those years ago. Yeah? We want justice for Lisa, and we will always ask for it every day. Justice for Lisa Marie. She deserves it. Now, there's many other things in this book that discuss Priscilla's wrongdoing. A very neglectful parent. We feel as fans that Scientology has done some serious damage to Lisa Marie. We know that Elvis wanted nothing to do with Scientology. Poor Lisa Marie was literally dumped into Scientology. We feel that was very cruel. We feel it did a lot of damage, not just to Lisa, but eventually to Benjamin as well. Even with the second divorce settlement of Priscilla, it does seem like Elvis had to sell his recording rights pre-1973 to pay off Priscilla. People wonder why Elvis had run out of money when he had died. A lot of it was given to Priscilla. Priscilla was the reason Elvis had no money. People don't realise this. She's like, Priscilla will say, oh, I saved Graceland's, I would never let them sell it. I won't let that happen. It was my idea to open the Living Museum, and look how successful it was because of my idea. The public fall for it. It was not Priscilla's idea. This is a lie. She took it and ran with it. She jumped on the bandwagon with it, but everything was in place for the Living Museum. They were never going to sell Memphis outside of Memphis City. Memphis City were always going to step in and make sure that Graceland was preserved for the fans, for Graceland, for Memphis. Memphis loved Elvis. The Memphis people loved Elvis. It was never going to be sold off. This is another lie. So, yes, she was involved in it, and yes, she was chosen as the person to promote it. Many people don't know that Priscilla wasn't at the opening of Graceland's, the Living Museum. Yes, she promoted it. She was there at a very public announcement of the opening of Graceland's. She was there. Yeah? She was the spokesperson. A beautiful Priscilla in front of the world. She loved attention. She loved the spotlight. Loved it. She wanted fame. She wanted to be in TV, in movies, modelling. She wanted to make money. She wanted to be an entrepreneur, open her clothing salon, promote products, fragrances, many other things. Priscilla loved money. She loved men. She loved the light, pizzazz. She loved the fame, the attention. I'm now the new Elvis. This is how I see Priscilla. I don't hate her, but this is how I see the new Priscilla. She dropped Mike Stone, the karate champion, like a rock. She didn't need him anymore. She seriously damaged Lisa by dragging her away from her father, forcing her to live with Mike Stone, the karate champion, eventually living with her boyfriend, Michael Edwards, who allegedly abused her. Some serious damage here. She completely ripped off Elvis on the divorce settlement. The second divorce settlement should never have happened. She even took back the name Presley that she gave up when they had the first divorce. Around 72, these things went on. She stopped using the name Presley. I feel that she took the name Presley back after Vernon passed because she knew she couldn't really make the big money and get the big fame unless she kept the Presley name. And she has been using the Presley name for the last 50 years of a man that she demanded a divorce. Do people know this? Priscilla demanded a divorce. Elvis didn't divorce Priscilla. Elvis was a good Christian man. He didn't think it was right to divorce, to break up a family, because obviously he wanted to do the right thing by Lisa Marie, who he adored. She was the most important thing in his life. Lisa Marie was everything to Elvis. They were very close. Very, very close. Priscilla demanded the divorce, and Mike Stone has admitted this in interviews. Priscilla told him, I am leaving Elvis whether he likes it or not. She is the reason they divorced, not Elvis. And then we talk about the drugs. Elvis is called a druggie. You speak to any stranger about Elvis, oh, he was shagging around and he was a drug addict. No one mentions the fact that he was chronically sick, seriously unwell, that he had inherited some horrible problems health-wise from his grandparents, from his mother, even from his father, who had a very bad heart. Elvis had started to become very, very unwell, very, very unwell, very young, but it really took hold in his 30s. So he had full-time nurses, full-time doctor. Elvis was desperate. He was unwell, he was sick, he was in pain, he had heart, lung problems, he had twisted colon, he had seriously bad constipation. He could not sleep. This man who had to perform to the world, whether it be making the movies through the 60s, or the 68 comeback special, or the Vegas comeback, doing 2-3 shows a day in Vegas, making 2-3 movies a year through the 60s. A lot was expected of Elvis. Everybody relied on Elvis. Elvis had to pay everyone's wages and keep the machine rolling. All this pressure on Elvis. But he was also very sick, very unwell. So yes, Elvis turned to medication, to prescribe medication for everything. So he could sleep, so he could wake up, for energy, so he could relax, so he could fix his medical problems. He had glaucoma. He had the serious body problems. Everything needed medication. So yes, Elvis was taking a large amount of medication, prescribed medication. But there was a reason for everything. There was a reason for every pill he took. Elvis honestly believed, he thought these pills would help him get better. But he is called a drug addict. Drug addicts take pills to get stoned, to get off their face. Elvis would never do that. He was not a street druggie. Now, I'm not against drug addicts. I understand there's some serious problems out there with drugs, but we're talking about Elvis. He needed his medication. He needed his medication. Every pill he felt he needed it. He was desperate. He was in pain, discomfort. He had to get through the day. Just to get through the day. This is Elvis in his late 30s, early 40s. Just to get through the day, he needed all these different prescribed medications. Elvis felt he understood these different pills, how they were helping him. But I don't think Elvis ever truly understood the side effects of these different tablets and just how they were making him even more sick. Now, Elvis had problems when he was a child growing up, health problems. He'd always had insomnia. Elvis's insomnia was very extreme. He couldn't sleep. Now remember, if you can't sleep, but then you've got to go and make a movie. He was making a movie every 3 or 4 months. You had to go and perform in Vegas. He was doing 2, 3 shows, sometimes in a day. Elvis needed to be up, energized, ready to perform, ready to go. He was under a lot of pressure to fulfill his different contracts. So Elvis felt he had to take these tablets, these pills. He was not a drug addict. Yes, he may have been addicted to some of these pills. Of course, who isn't? You know, how many people right now watching this need painkillers, need sleeping tablets, need medication for type 2 diabetes or for heart problems or for breathing problems? Elvis had a very, very complicated colon problems. He had serious constipation, so he needed steroids as well. So there's many, many, many medications Elvis took just to survive, just to get through the day. But he is called a drug addict. If you speak to the general public, oh, Elvis is a drug addict. Elvis shagged everything. The way that the public see Elvis, the way that Elvis has been portrayed in the last 50 years has been very unfair to Elvis, very cruel. Elvis was a lovely man, a beautiful man, inside and out. He tried to give away everything. Elvis didn't want money for himself. He wanted to just give it all away. He loved helping people. He loved being kind and generous. Really there for his fans, really there for his friends. He was really there for the Memphis Mafia. He was there for his wife, Priscilla. He was there for Lisa. And in fact, everyone Elvis touched went in his friendship. He was kind and friendly and charming and decent and loving and caring and very, very generous. Elvis helped so many charities and he kept it a secret. Elvis kept it a secret. He helped everyone. He kept it a secret. He looked for reasons to help people. He would get tabloids and look for stories wanting to help people. We all know the stories about giving everyone cars, homes, jewelry, motorbikes, horses. This man was so kind. So kind. A heart of gold. A very decent, loving man who really cared about America, cared about the world, cared about his fans. Always there for his fans. He loved his fans. He felt he wanted to give back. So when people say to me, why does Elvis need defending? It's because so many parts of Elvis's life have been unfairly portrayed. Whether it be Priscilla, who was unfaithful, who caused the divorce, who took a lot of Elvis's money, took all the glory for saving Memphis, Gracelands, opening the museum when that is not true, who wrote a disgusting book that to me is full of lies. The truth has been twisted. I feel that Priscilla realised that the public were very gullible and they fell for every word she said, and that she could write a book and say whatever she wanted and no one's going to disagree with her. And it worked. Her plan to reinvent history, to rewrite history, worked. The whole of the world fell for it. Even now, people are still falling for this book. The film Priscilla by Sofia Coppola is based on this book that was written in 1985 by a woman who had betrayed and divorced Elvis 7 years before this book was written. Elvis did not have one say in this book. This book was written 7 to 8 years after Elvis died. Elvis can't get up and go, oh, that isn't true. She could write what she wanted to do. This is the biggest scam in history, this book. A massive con that paid off. And for well over 40 years, the public have fallen for it. The public have been very gullible. It's only now that we're starting to discover there's more to it. That Priscilla did do things wrong, did make mistakes, did take advantage of Elvis. Lisa suffered at the hands of Priscilla. Priscilla, the responsible parent, was around with her boyfriend, Michael Edwards, when alleged abuse was taking place. And it's in this book. Why would Lisa lie? Lisa's own words on tape. Riley Keough, Lisa's daughter, kept the negative, gory details about Michael Edwards in this book, and other details about Priscilla were kept in this book. So the public are really just starting to realise that there is another truth, that there's a possibility that this book is full of lies and it's just history rewritten and not truth. And then you have a book like this, Child Bride, which lets the world know that there could have been a cunning plan to get Elvis way back in 1959 when they first met, that involved Cary Grant, the guy who knew Elvis, the guy who introduced Priscilla to Elvis. There could have been a plan for fame, for fortune, a plan to get to Graceland by Priscilla. Priscilla may not have been the sweet innocent virgin that she portrayed herself as. In this book, it discusses this possibility. So remember this book here. Michael Edwards, the actor, the model, the guy in the Terminator, admits having feelings for Lisa whilst he was with Priscilla. You have a Howard Stern interview where Lisa admits that Michael Edwards was trying to take advantage of her sexually, allegedly. But the interview is on YouTube. There's more than one. Look it up, Howard Stern, and you will be disgusted. So I think I've given you a good feel for why we defend Elvis. We defend Elvis and Lisa Marie because there's so much wrongdoing. There's so many lies out there about everything to do with Elvis. Elvis doesn't deserve it. He doesn't deserve it. Why? What did Elvis do that was so bad? What did he do that was so bad? He loved his family. He loved his daughter. He did everything for everyone. He married Priscilla. They got pregnant. They had a child. And her thanks was to be unfaithful with Steve Peck, the dance instructor, months after the birth and less than a year after the marriage. Did Elvis deserve that? A world famous marriage. Could you imagine how embarrassed and humiliated Elvis was when it came out that Priscilla had been unfaithful to him? Very, very embarrassing. So guys, this is a part one. We're going to do more parts of this. But this is why we defend Elvis Presley. So when people say to me, Elvis doesn't need defending. Yes, he does. I got books all around me. I'm surrounded by Elvis information. We defend Elvis every day on the live streams on defending Elvis Presley. We also have another channel called Elvis Presley Fan on Keto, which is more light-hearted, and we also discuss health problems. So please subscribe to both. So my point is, guys, we have a very good reason to defend Elvis Presley, his honour, and his beautiful daughter, Lisa Marie. And we are there, we support Riley, we support Finley and Harper as the bloodline of Elvis. And there is many, many facts that I feel the public don't understand. I feel the public don't realise that Priscilla did some real serious damage, and so did some of the Memphis Mafia. And somehow we want to get the truth out. We want to get the truth out to defend Elvis and Lisa and the bloodline, so we can try and clear things up a bit for Elvis's image, his reputation, and ultimately his legacy. We don't do it from hate. This isn't about hating Priscilla or the Memphis Mafia. This is just, let's get to the truth so we can clear things up for Elvis on his behalf, for the fans, on behalf of the fans. We want to do some good for Elvis. We have to. Who's going to defend Elvis? If we, the fans, don't defend Elvis, who's going to defend Elvis? Seriously. Because the TV media are not defending Elvis. If you want to find a negative documentary that makes Elvis look bad, there's loads. being done by the big companies. That isn't fair. We need more people defending Elvis, exposing the truth, exposing what really went on behind the scenes. Elvis can't defend himself, so we the fans will defend him. Okay guys, so please subscribe, please like. Thank you very much for tuning in and watching this. Quite a serious video, but we defend with pride. We defend with pride. Thanks guys, all the best. Check you out on the next video.